Hi, it's Catherine here with Micro Tips and Tricks, sharing the love one tip at a time to save you time, and micro because we all have lots to do. In this micro tip, I will demonstrate the use of the VLOOKUP function in Excel, and the V denotes a vertical lookup. And you will find this V function pretty invaluable when you need to compare or cross-reference large sets of data. It has certainly helped me over the years try to decipher a lot of data. So just follow these simple steps along with a few of my tips and tricks and you'll be off to the races. So here I have a very simple spreadsheet with a few columns and rows of data of product items. And so you can see that I have quite a few rows. If I press End and the arrow key down, I can see that I have 2,664. So certainly quite a bit of data to have to sort through and make some sense of. So I just did Control Home to come to the top of the spreadsheet. So what I want to do is I have this column called Category, but it's just in a number form. And I want to know what the name of that category is. I happen to have another list or spreadsheet of what those categories are called. And so for simplicity purposes, I'm just calling them category. The category name is category corresponding to the number sequence. So what I can do is write a simple formula to look up this number and compare it to this list, and I want it to return the category name. So to do that, we are going to write that formula in this column. So I'm just going to do Control C to copy and then press Enter to paste, and I'm going to call this category name. So we're going to write the formula in this very first row here with the data, and I'm going to go up here to the formula bar and utilize that assistance here. If you've never used this, this is very, very helpful in learning formulas. And honestly, I probably write my formulas from here majority of the time because I just find it quicker, although certain ones, of course, I know off the top of my head, so I can quickly do. But at any rate, so once you locate your function, just double click on it, and then it will give you a description of what your function arguments are. So the lookup value, I'm just going to click on the little box so I can use my pointer, and this is the lookup value. I want to look up this category number, and then I click back on the box to go to the formula helper again, and then the table array is the table that I want to look up the information from. So once again, I'm going to click on that box, and then to where my category is listed, my list is. Now this can actually be in another spreadsheet too, but for simplicity purposes, we are just using it within the sheet. And I'm just going to cover that whole area that my list encompasses. And back here. Now one little trick is to make sure you have this in the absolute value, because I'll show you as we copy the formula, we want to keep that range static. We don't want that range to change. Then the next one is saying, well, which column number do I want to look up in that table? So once again, I'm going to click on here and go back and just look at the table. Unfortunately, I have to actually give it a value, so I would have to count. So if it has quite a few columns in it, I'll have to count over. In this case, it's nice and simple, and it is column number 2. And so I'm going to clear that out and just enter 2. And then this range lookup. Here you can see that if you just leave it blank or type in true, it will find you the closest match in the first column. If you use false, it has to find an exact match. I tend to always use false because when you're doing some analysis on certain data, you don't want something that is the closest match. You want it to be an exact match. And if it can't find the exact match, it will tell you that. So I'm going to press OK. Before we go any further, I just want to point out something with respect to the formula that's quite important. With the range lookup, if you've selected true, that you are okay with receiving the closest match, then it is important, well, it's mandatory that you have your set of data sorted in ascending sort order. If you're using false because it's looking for an exact match, it does not need to be in ascending order. But as a rule, I always sort my lists in ascending order, at least in my first start and depending on what I'm looking at. So here I have a set of data. It is not sorted. Very simple way to do it is to put on a filter. I have a shortcut here for a filter because I use filters constantly. So there's filter, and then I can just quickly go and say sort from smallest to largest, and it will sort it. My formatting's a little off there, but at any rate, that does not matter at this point. Another thing that's important is when you're looking at values or texts, the type of data that you're looking at needs to match. So sometimes, you know, you can have something that looks like a value, so this could look like a 6, but it actually is coming in as a text. So that needs to be cleaned up. So by sorting things, I'm able to take a quick look through and make sure that my data that I'm looking up is in good order. Another thing that's important to note is to not have any breaks in your data range. So just make sure that you don't have any extra empty rows in here because it will not know to skip over that and go into the next section. So just make sure your table is a little clean there and check for any anomalies. Okay, so back to the formula. So going back to the spreadsheet here, so we've written our formula. We have our absolute value, so it's going to pick up that range as we copy the formula down. And so I'm just going to do Control C and I arrow key down, and I'm just using my arrow key and my holding down the Shift key to copy and paste. So I'm just going to do a few rows here, so I'm going to show you one other really quick cheat. And it's going to do the calculation. Now, for some reason today, my computer is working slowly, so so this looks okay. One other little cheat is to go over to a section where you know your data table, your data is full right down to the bottom range, and I'm going to press End and the arrow key down, and I'm coming to the end, and I'm going to do End here. And then I'm arrow key up and pressing End and arrow key up, and I'm coming back to that break. Then I'm doing Control C, End, and arrow key down, and that brings me down to where I put my little stopper, I call it. And this just saves me from having to do copy and paste and dragging my mouse or doing page down. So that's going to fill that all up, and I'm back to the top. So now I've got the formula copied, and if you saw there and quickly, we've got some that say NA, and so now I want to find out why it says NA. So I'm going to go and take a look at a few of these and see what's going on here. So I'm going to pop over to my category list. Well, first of all, I don't have a 0. I've got 2 number 1s here for some reason. So I'm just going to look at the filter, and I don't have a 0 here. So I'm just going to ignore that, and I can take that out or look into that data point a little bit in a little bit more detail, or it's just simply an unassigned category. This spreadsheet probably, or this data probably does that. So I'm just going to take a look through and see why some of these are not coming across. So category 172, and if I look, well, I don't have a 172 in here, so that shows me where I've got a bit of an issue with my data. So once again, just kind of go through here and take a look. Now what I'll do is what I did on the other sheet where I used my filter. Now you can also get your filter here if you don't have a shortcut, and then I can look at here, just pressed on the arrow key, and take a look and see what's going on, what's picked up at end. I should have deleted that. And if I want to look at all of my NAs, then I'm going to unselect all and then just grab the NA and OK, and then I can take a look through and see why I have some of them with NAs. Now I can tell with all of these that it's just because I don't have them all on my category list, and I did that on purpose, of course. So then you can just go back and correct your data list. Sometimes it's a matter of sorting it, sometimes it can be your values are not, one's text and one's a value, so it can't find an exact match, and that's what we want it to do. So that was a simple application of using the VLOOKUP formula. You can use this in so many different ways. Quite often I will use it to compare 2 lists of information. So in a situation where there's a vendor has a new price list update, I can take my data and cross-reference it with their data and check to see if there are any price changes. There's all kinds of uses for this. And so hope that helps you and makes your day more efficient. If you have found this micro tip useful, please let me know by liking and even sharing this video. Also feel free to leave comments, especially on suggested topics or to share your own tips and tricks. You can also subscribe to this channel to receive updates whenever new tips and tricks are uploaded. You can also find me on Twitter at cjackmain. Thank you so much for watching and have a terrific day.